Hello friends, in this video I'm going to take this full story of fat and carbohydrate interconversion. There are various links in the full theory, so I'm going to make all of it together and going to give you this separate video for that. So let's get started. Fats can never be converted to carbohydrates, but in some way fats are converted to carbohydrates. So let's see the detail of this thing. First, let's see the basics, how blood glucose is maintained, because blood glucose is always maintained within a normal range of 70 to 110 mg/%, and there are many sources of blood glucose. So when we talk of sources of blood glucose, then the first source is food. When we are eating food, it is coming from food. But when we are not eating food, then this blood glucose is derived from liver glycogen. Liver glycogen gets broken down to give glucose to blood, and this glycogen can give glucose for just 12 to 18 hours. And when somebody has not taken food since last 12 to 18 hours, then glycogen will be finished. Or if some patient of glycogen storage disease, then glycogen cannot be broken down. Then also body will depend on the next pathway for making glucose, and that is gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis pathway require lots of energy. Let me tell you, 2-pyruvate when gets converted to glucose, 3-carbon pyruvate. So we need 2 molecules of pyruvate to make 1 molecule of glucose. 6 ATPs or 6 high energy phosphates are used to make 1 glucose, right? So this is a high energy consuming pathway. And also let's look at the scene of body in fasting or starvation. Fats is the main fuel. So adipose tissue will be broken down to release fatty acids. These fatty acids will be going in liver via blood. They will be going into liver. In liver, they will be broken down by beta oxidation of fatty acid, releasing acetyl-CoA. This acetyl-CoA has 3 fates, either going into TCA cycle or going into ketone body synthesis, that is acetyl-CoA will be converted to ketone bodies, or acetyl-CoA can activate this pathway, gluconeogenesis. Now coming to the next thing, that is link reaction, pyruvate dehydrogenase reaction. This reaction is irreversible, I told you, that is conversion of pyruvate to acetyl-CoA. Because link reaction is irreversible, pyruvate to acetyl-CoA is irreversible. So that means pyruvate can be converted to acetyl-CoA, but opposite is not true. Acetyl-CoA can never be converted to pyruvate. Pyruvate is mainly coming from carbohydrates. Acetyl-CoA is mainly forming fats in the body. So we say that carbohydrates can be converted to fat easily, but fats can never be converted to carbohydrates. So fats can never be converted to carbohydrates, but there are 2 exceptions to this general rule. One is glycerol and other is propionic acid. They can be easily converted to glucose. Glycerol is a breakdown product of triglycerides. Triglycerides, gets broken down to glycerol and fatty acid. So glycerol is a breakdown product of triglycerides, and propionic acid, is a breakdown product of odd chain fatty acids. So both are breakdown products of fatty acids, but they are converted to glucose. How glycerol is converted to glucose? Because glycerol can make DHAP, that is dihydroxyacetone phosphate, with the help of enzyme glycerol 3-phosphate dehydrogenase. Now this DHAP is intermediate of glycolysis. It can be converted to glucose, right? On the other hand, propionic acid, during the metabolism of propionic acid, the end product formed is succinyl-CoA. Succinyl-CoA is intermediate of TCA, and any intermediate of TCA can form glucose. All this detail will be taking in another subsequent topics, right? So I say that acetyl-CoA is never glucogenic. It can never form glucose. So that's why we say fats can never be converted to carbohydrates. Let's see the full story now. So now I want to say that fats directly are not converted to carbohydrates, but indirectly they're getting converted to carbohydrates. Let's see how. Fat, fat in body means adipose tissue. Adipose tissue are mainly stores of triglycerides. 1 triglyceride is broken down to 3 fatty acid and 1 molecule of glycerol. That's why the name triglyceride, triacyl glycerol. Tri means 3, acyl means fatty acid, and glycerol, right? There are 3 fatty acids and glycerol. This fatty acid will mainly go into liver for beta oxidation of fatty acid. This beta oxidation of fatty acid will release acetyl-CoA, and acetyl-CoA activates gluconeogenesis. Acetyl-CoA activates the very first step of gluconeogenesis, right? On the other hand, other product of triglyceride, that is glycerol, I just told you glycerol can be converted to DHAP, dihydroxyacetone phosphate, and this DHAP can be converted to glucose. So we can say glycerol is a substrate for gluconeogenesis. Glycerol is a substrate for gluconeogenesis. So now see the full story, that fats are indirectly getting converted to glucose because one of the breakdown product is a substrate for gluconeogenesis. Other breakdown product, fatty acid forming acetyl-CoA, that is the activator of gluconeogenesis. So indirectly, both the breakdown product of fats are helping in gluconeogenesis. So summarizing this topic, fats can never be converted to carbohydrates. Link reaction is irreversible. Glycerol and propionic acid are exceptions to this rule that fats cannot be converted to carbohydrates. Acetyl-CoA is never glucogenic, but acetyl-CoA activates this pathway of gluconeogenesis. This is it with this topic. Thanks for watching.